Hey everybody, Grill Father Johnny Al here, and today I'm here in Creston, Ohio at Whitefeather Meats, home of the Bearded Butchers. I'm about 2 hours north of Texas North in Columbus, here in Creston, and this is my source for elk and bison and venison and some other meats. So we're going to go inside. We're going to have an opportunity to meet one of the Bearded Butchers. We'll go inside and we'll check things out. Now, what's different about this butcher shop is it's not your typical shop where you come in and you have a fresh meat counter. You can see here that they sell a lot of other products that accessorize meats. Here are the dry age coolers, which are kind of cool. And then over here for their larger cuts of beef. And then these coolers right here are for their grass-fed beef. And so some other types of beef here as well. And as we make our way around the corner here, you can see that they have a case full of different types of lamb products. And if you like lamb, it's a good selection of lamb there. This is what I'm really here for, the elk and the bison. So I'm really looking forward to diving into these cases and picking out some nice gems. These cases here are for their chicken items and the organic fed chickens. And then finally, these cases over here, they have some of the Wagyu meat and some of the more exotic type meats. I look forward to diving into that one as well. And then some miscellaneous meats here, and also some other products that they sell here in the store. Now over here is the Bearded Butcher line, different kinds of seasonings and other Bearded Butcher brand types of items that they sell, but mostly this is where their seasonings are located and are available for purchase. I'm here now with one of the two Bearded Butchers, Scott Perkins, and Scott has been part of the family business now for over 30 years. And Scott, could you just tell the viewers how you got into this? Were you an apprentice for your dad, or did you take any outside training, or how did you and your brother get into cutting meat?
Sure, thanks, John. So I had no choice. My dad had founded the company. He was a farmer and then became a butcher. And he said, you're going to come in and work in the family business. So from about age 11, I started butchering. Yeah, frankly, he didn't give me a choice.
And your brother too? Same boat?
Yep.
Okay. So what does a typical day look like for you and your brother? Are you both doing the same thing at the same time, or are you switching off jobs? You know, you're doing this and he's doing that, and then you switch back and forth, or how does that look?
So in years past, there was a lot of that, kind of both of us doing the same thing back and forth. But recently it's become a little more consolidated, where he's doing the majority of the butchering and I'm doing the majority of the administrative stuff. And that's just because the business has grown. There's a lot more administrative stuff to do. However, we are both essentially cross-trained and can do each other's jobs.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So can you just take us through the process briefly of when the mammal comes in to your shop until it makes it into the freezers here? What does that process all look like?
Sure. Well, it's a lot of work. You know, animals that come in as livestock are, you know, they're need to be converted to a food product. So that process requires a lot of facilities, regulatory, and of course the skill that's involved. Animals arrive here typically on a Tuesday, and we butcher on Wednesday. So we're USDA inspected, so they're going to be housed here with water available at all times and feed if they're over 24 hours, which they're typically not. The slaughter step starts early in the morning. It takes us about 4 to 5 hours from start to finish to do the amount of animals that we need to fill our meat cases. And then the aging process begins. On pork, it's just a day. On beef, it's usually 2 weeks. On bison, elk, it's usually just a week. But that enhances the meat through dry aging. And once they come out of the coolers, then they're a carcass at this point, and then we have to break those down into all the various cuts. And we don't only do fresh processed cuts, which typically all of our meats are vacuum sealed, and then they're presented either fresh for 30 days or they're frozen, flash frozen immediately. We do value added, so we do a lot of different snack meats, things that you're going to be adding different spices to. And that's really what got us into the spice business, is being butchers. For about the first 10 years of our butchering career, we just used whatever sort of off-the-shelf pre-mixed spices were available. Mm-hmm. And then we learned that they had a lot of added ingredients, things that we didn't want in them. So we began to develop our own spice blends that we mixed in-house. And because they were fresh and they were done without, basically we didn't have to have preservatives and things in it. But that's another big step of the butchering process, is taking those meats and making them into what we would consider further processed items that are going to take on, different flavors, different, whether it be a sausage, a bratwurst, a hot dog, a snack stick, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. When I watch your videos, I find it fascinating that you take a big carcass of meat, what looks like just a big hunk of meat to us, and you break it down. It's almost like an escape room where you cut down one piece and then it unlocks the next step to get to the next piece. Is that kind of how a good way to look at it?
It takes years. It is a good way to look at it. I mean, every animal has similar, features, especially like take, for example, bison and beef. Both are bovine. More closely related to each other than, say, the cervids, which are the elk and the deer and that sort of thing. But typically any of your larger four-legged animals have similar structures. And once you've sort of got the muscle memory and mapped out where all those cuts are, it just stays with you. And then you, of course, have your pork, which is quite a bit different things can be done with it. And then while we don't do the slaughter step for poultry, we do some poultry processing, and that's a completely different thing in itself. But it just takes years of handling the various carcasses and just learning where all those different cuts, where the angles are, where the connective muscle seams are, where the bones are, that sort of thing. How you can basically enhance that carcass by processing it to best fit the end user.
Now, you just opened up a new headquarters building right across the street. Can you give the viewers an update of where things are with that, and what progress you're making and what new things might be coming down the road for your headquarters?
Yeah, you're right, John. So just over a 3-month mark since we opened those doors. And now prior to that, we were working in a rented space. So the process itself wasn't new to us. The space is new to us. And we were able to learn some things in our rented space, which prior to the rented space, all that was done in-house, which what I'm talking about is the e-commerce fulfillment, and also what we would be shipping to our wholesale, essentially retail partners, but those are the people that retail our spices and some other things. So that is a mixed use space, and then also administrative space. We really had no administrative space at our butcher shop. So we had a rented space for the fulfillment, but we were able to blend those two together and put the administrative space and the fulfillment space together under one roof. And obviously we were blessed to have it just across the street, have that opportunity to open up. Right. So then we had the cohesion. The Bearded Butcher brand, at the beginning you mentioned too, there's really, Seth and I are the face of the brand. There's a third older brother that is heavily involved, and then my sister as well manages the store. So our brand, as far as like the Bearded Butchers being the sort of the vehicle that's carried it forward, there's a large team that's involved that we have a lot to thank for helping, on a daily, ongoing basis. And that's been very helpful with the headquarters, having a cohesive space where everybody that's working on the butcher shop side and the e-commerce side, the administrative side, can all get together. And as the business has grown, that's been a key piece. And so far it's going absolutely fantastic.
Great news. And congratulations on a new headquarters. It's a beautiful building over there.
Thank you.
I noticed on your website that you're closed on Sundays, and Proverbs 12:10 is referenced on there. Could you just tell us a little bit about your upbringing and your faith and how that works in your life?
I'd be happy to, John. So Our faith has a big part to do with our business and the reason why we're here today. I mean, it's by the grace of God that we don't step out of bed and fall flat on your face every morning. Sundays, we get 52 days of rest a year, and we fully embrace those days. We're very hard workers, and that was something that an ethic that was instilled by our parents. And for 6 days a week, we can strive as hard as we want to, but on that seventh day, we lay everything down. There's no emails. There's no you can disconnect. You can spend that day in worship and sort of reset. And that's really important for us. I think it's also important for your health too, when you go as hard as we do. So that's something we fully embrace. Proverbs 12:10, which you mentioned, the righteous man regardeth life as beast. We try to be, through this process, we bring as much respect and ethical treatment and humane handling that the animal deserves. We're really in the life business, taking what is one of the top resources for nutrition, which is protein, and making that available to as many people as possible, or in the spice section of that, enhancing their experience at home. Perhaps they don't buy the meat from us, but they can buy the clean spices to put on their meat. So faith has a tremendous amount to do with it, and faith's really the reason why our business is here today.
Amen. Amen. And God has really blessed your business.
I agree.
So there you have it, folks. One half of the Bearded Butcher, Scott Perkins.
Yep.
It's now time for me to grab my coolers and load them up. My kind of Christmas shopping here for myself in September. We're going to head back to Texas North. We'll unpack them and I'll show you what I got, and you'll see them all in a future YouTube video. Thank you very much, Scott.
Thanks, John. Pleasure.
Appreciate it very much.
I'm back at Texas North and I unpacked the coolers. So let's go over what I brought home from the Bearded Butchers and their butcher shop. These first three items are the bison. This is a bison Thor's hammer, bison shank Thor's hammer, and then a bison round eye of round roast, and another roast here, a bison boneless chuck roast. Next to it, I have a few items that are elk tri-tip, elk boneless roast, and then an elk round tip roast. And then finally, I picked up this wild boar boneless shoulder butt roast. So it's basically going to be wild boar pulled pork. I really wasn't going up to purchase any beef, but these caught my eye, so I decided to pick them up. This first roast is an American Wagyu beef boneless chuck roast. This is another Thor's hammer, but this is the beef version of the Thor's hammer. Next to it is a beef hanger steak, and then a beef eye of round, and finally the tomahawk chop, also a beef rib chop. So these are what I brought back. I will be making videos for all of these. So 12 videos in total. And so you'll be seeing these in the near future. And I am looking forward to smoking them up and sharing with you how they turned out. Thanks for tuning in, everyone, to today's video. I hope you really enjoyed it. I gathered up all the meats and put them into my freezer chest, and they'll live there until it's time for me to take them out and smoke them up. I'm really grateful to Scott Perkins for his taking time today to speak with me and to give us a little bit more of an in-depth look at what goes on there at Whitefeather Meats, and also a little bit of a deep dive into his life as well. I was hoping that Seth would be able to join us, but he was hard at work, and they are both very hard-working guys, but it was really good to see Scott again. And if you ever have a chance, you're in Ohio or within driving distance of Creston, Ohio, and you love barbecue, make a trip to there. It's a really unique butcher shop, really pretty cool operation that they have going on there. And you'll also have an opportunity to meet Seth and Scott as well. So until next time, this is Grill Father Johnny L. Take care, God bless, and smoke on.